Did we completely forget that Ni no Kuni Crossworlds launched in 2021 and opened to over $100 million in 11 days? That is literally 10 times what this game made. Like, dude, I am sorry. There is no way, there is absolutely no way that Sensor Tower actually did a blog post where they reported a Korean published, Korean developed gacha game made $100 million, and then a year later or 2 years later, they go on to state 10 million. What? 10 million is record setting. There is just, is this a paid for, is this an ad? Is this a paid for blog post? They cannot be real, right? This is not real. I'm a fan of Brown Dust 2. I did a dedicated video on it that went on to garner almost 50,000 views. I expressed that it was probably one of the highest quality gacha games I had played in recent memory. It felt very much like a JRPG, very story focused, gave you a lot of characters for free. Honestly, I couldn't have asked for a more fun game to play. And as of the last 24 hours, according to an article over on Pocket Gamer, Brown Dust 2 earns $10 million in 2 months, which is a record for a Korean published gacha game. And I don't think that's quite true. The Pocket Gamer article goes on to read, Brave 9's successor Brown Dust 2 earns $10 million in 2 months. 80% of its revenue was generated from within Asia. Has already reached the mighty $10 million milestone in 2 short months since. Comes as no surprise then that the Brave 9 sequel would thrive in the mobile marketplace, with Western localization likely to brand the game as Brave 9 2. What is the surprise is the degree to which Brown Dust 2 is thriving, with Sensor Tower pointing out that this is a new record for a South Korean gacha game. Doing a search on the Sensor Tower website, Brown Dust 2 achieved sales of more than 10 million after its release. Since its global launch on June 22nd, Brown Dust 2 has set a record of exceeding $10 million in combined sales on the Apple App Store and Google Play Store as of June 22nd to August 31st, 2023. Now, this does state Korean published game. It does not state a Korean developed game. I know there are people that are gonna come out and say, hey, Nikkei is a Korean game, right? Doesn't Nikkei make like $20 million a month? Yeah, it does, but I believe Level Infinite publishes Nikkei. Level Infinite is a subsidiary of Perfect World, and Perfect World is a Chinese company, so that doesn't count necessarily. Although there was another Korean gacha game that released. No, actually, I think there were 2 gacha games released earlier this year. Now, the only reason I know about this is because I actually reported on them as they were released. One of which is Eversoul. Eversoul is a Korean gacha game that has a Korean publisher. The Korean publisher, of course, being Kakao Games, that made in January 2023 $8 million, and in February 2023 $4 million, totaling $12 million within Korea alone. The only reason I remember Eversoul is because I actually really enjoyed Eversoul. It was a very fun gacha game and I really enjoyed streaming it. So Eversoul immediately makes this entire post null and void, misinformation, a lie, because Sensor Tower reports on earnings every single month. They would know how much Eversoul made. So either they're lying for money or they actually have no fucking idea what they're talking about. Both are equally as bad as one another. To add on to this, once again, apparently $10 million is a record for a Korean game from a Korean publisher. Did we completely forget that Ni no Kuni Crossworlds launched in 2021 and opened to over $100 million in 11 days? That is literally 10 times what this game made. Like, dude, I am sorry. There is no way, there is absolutely no way that Sensor Tower actually did a blog post where they reported a Korean published, Korean developed gacha game made $100 million, and then a year later or 2 years later, they go on to state 10 million. What? 10 million is record setting. There is just, is this a paid for, is this an ad? Is this a paid for blog post? They cannot be real, right? This is not real. This just can't be. $10 million for the $10 million in 2 months. 2 months, 11 days. Ni no Kuni Crossworlds was one of the biggest gacha releases of the last couple years. There is no way that they could not have known that this game existed. I mean, I guess it was what? It was published by Yena Yu, whereas this one was published by Craig Chappell. Maybe. I mean, maybe there was just a disconnect here. Maybe they don't share information. Maybe they didn't do any fact checking. I don't know, but that is horribly inaccurate and wildly misleading. And more than that, spreading a lot of misinformation, because $10 million in 2 months is not a record. Now let's go ahead and see what the Reddit comments have to say about this. But before we do, I want to take a moment here to thank our incredible patrons over on Patreon who allow for me to continue to do videos like this every single day. You guys are freaking legends. Just to remind, Nikkei is Korean too. Yeah, I already saw that comment coming. It is not Korean published, however. Surprising Netmarble didn't get that record. Yeah, because Ni no Kuni Crossworlds. Yeah, exactly. Like I did 7 videos on Ni no Kuni Crossworlds. Is it considered gacha? Yeah, it is 100% considered gacha. Nikkei's aesthetics are great. They really are. Deserved, weirdly enough. Don't think I can recall a single other decent game to come out of NeoWiz, but Brown Dust 2 seems to be the only game that I feel they put some effort into. I mean, I agree. Very fun, very high quality game. Eversoul did 10 million in the first 5 weeks, but okay. Yeah, exactly. Once again, like, I played Eversoul at launch, so I knew that this was a thing. I knew Eversoul made a lot of money because I reported on that. I covered it. It's a game by a Korean developer and published by a Korean publisher, so not noting that is weird. 100%. I'd say they deserve the success thanks to how well polished it is. 100%. I completely concur. Deserved. It's a good game. Who knew being so rewarding, the players could be so rewarding back in exchange? Time to switch it from unit. Yeah. Yeah, go check last night's video. You're gonna want to watch it. Oh, so good. Surely that can't be the record. I could have sworn other Korean games have done that and more. Yeah, 100%. I don't know why they've titled it this way. I don't know if they were just paid and they omitted the fact that it's an ad. I don't know if it was just negligence and they didn't realize that there were other games out there that made substantially more money. Either way, great for Brown Dust 2. I love the game. I really do. But this is in no way record breaking or record setting. I think the game that holds the record for a Korean developed, Korean published gacha game is Ni no Kuni Crossworlds. You're gonna have to somehow manage to top over $100 million, $140, $150 million in your first month if you ever want to even compete with Crossworlds. And while the game is pretty much dead now, no one can contest the fact that this was a monolithic success in its first year. Now, if Ni no Kuni Crossworlds, if Brown Dust 2, if Eversoul aren't gacha games that you're interested in, I urge you to check one of the 2 videos on screen right now. One of them are very important and can affect or might affect the entire gacha genre, and the other is a list of gacha games launching this month that you won't want to miss out on.